Okay, Arnav. Say your
Okay, so
introduction.
I'm 12. I've been coding for 3 years. Right now I'm focusing on like trees and linked list.
Hmm.
And something I like in coding is like coding games and you know, I really want to start learning machine learning.
Oh, is it? So you're interested in machine learning, right?
Yeah.
So when did you first learn about it or heard about it?
Uh like around when I started coding.
Hmm.
So yeah, then after like ChatGPT it became like way more.
Okay. So you've been coding
Okay.
with Ravi, right?
Yeah.
And the same with Rihan, I guess.
Yeah, yes.
You also like machine learning
Yes.
or you have something
Um,
else in mind?
uh, yeah, I like machine learning, but I just like Arnav said, I prefer more of pie games. I like making more games. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm mainly focusing on Python right now, and I learned a bit of HTML, but that's it. I haven't learned anything else so far.
Okay.
So
So,
what coding languages do you know?
well, right now, uh, if you grow up and become a developer, you have to know just one coding language that you can use anytime. And as soon as you get projects and you roll on your project, if they require another language, then you have to learn that language in a week or so. So I'm not fixed on one coding language, but Python is my go-to language since I'm using data science, right? So that's the one, Python.
So that's the language which you mainly use.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
Uh,
does fractal analytics do? Like,
Okay, so Fractal is a service-based company. It focuses on basically data science related problems which they solve for different companies, right? So there are various companies that we interact with. They come to us for solving a problem. We provide them solutions, and that solution is based on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on.
okay. Could you just introduce yourself real quick?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So my name is Piyush, and I've been part of data science community for about 4 to 5 years now. And I'm working as a data scientist in Fractal. And before that, I've been working as a data scientist from NLP engineer uh, in a startup in Bangalore. And yeah, this was my journey till now. I've also had an experience in other coding languages, but those were predated languages. Like they were. Have you ever heard about COBOL?
No,
No,
I
it
don't know
was.
about Arnav.
Yeah, so it's a very ancient language, you can say, in terms of how the recent development have been going on. So it's around 1980s, 1990s, people used to code in COBOL. So I had that experience in the beginning, but after that I switched to data science, and then from there on I've been a data scientist.
uh, for the machine learning part, is it made
Mhm.
solely using Python or is it made using different languages? Because Python is a little slow for.
See, the problem with if you're going to ship a application, right, you need to have a application in the sense if you are making games and such things where speed is a priority, then you need to have a coding language like C++. These are fast languages for that. But for data science and machine learning tasks, um, you don't require that. You can say you don't require the same processing speed that you will require for a game, because for gaming it has to be instantaneous. But for machine learning, Python is I think good enough, I would say. Yeah, so people, and it also has an open community and
Yeah.
development so that's why it is much more powerful in terms of machine learning. So development has also been uh, much more fierce in Python. So majority of the communities are using Python, and that's why it had become a go-to trend to use Python for machine learning.
Yeah.
So what do you do as a data scientist in general in your company? What's your role?
Okay, so my role varies from project to project. So, for example, if I have to do you're familiar with the forecasting, right? So what
Yes.
forecasting I'll tell you is I'll just brief you about forecasting. So if you want to predict future values about a certain topic, let's say it's weather, right? So you have to predict in future, maybe one week in future, maybe 1 month in future. So these kind of problems goes under forecasting domain. So I have experience in that. I also have experience in natural language processing, where I think Arab was it? Yeah, Arnav was I think mentioning something about Chat GPT, right? So I utilize this Chat GPT API and create applications using natural language processing. So this is one other part. Uh, have you heard about chatbots, right? I hope you
Yeah.
Yeah.
have heard about chatbots. So yeah, so we create chatbots as well using these Chat GPT APIs and natural language processing. So these are the two main things uh, that I'm experienced in data science.
So with Python you can create chatbots, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you one. You can I mean you can research on it. There is something called a Streamlit. There's a your experience in HTML, right? Not experience, but you have a some kind of exposure to
I have
HTML,
a
I guess.
brief understanding of it.
Yeah. So I think Streamlit is I think it is used to make quick applications for machine learning. So you can just look it up and maybe you can
Yeah.
start coding Streamlit as well.
Oh, okay. Faster way to build and share data apps.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for AI, it's split in different parts, right? Neural networks,
Mhm.
machine learning. Are those like, do those all like come together and then form AI, or do you only use few of them, like deep learning or
Okay, I'll just differentiate between what is data science first of all. People get really confused. What is data science? What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning, right? So these are the
yeah.
three topics you get confused over. So I'll say this is one box. This is a bigger box. Okay. Box A is a bigger box. There's a smaller box inside it called box B. And there's even smaller box inside box B, which is box C, right? So you can consider them as one inside another, right? So data science is a huge field. Everything that we do related to data, the science that we apply to a data is called a data science, right? Artificial intelligence and machine learning are part of it. Now, what is deep learning? Deep learning is one part of artificial intelligence or machine learning, you can say, right? Machine learning is also a huge area in which deep learning deals with the neural networks. If you heard about neural networks, then the deep learning part deals with the neural networks. And the machine learning, when people say machine learning, generally what they mean is the classical machine learning, not the deep learning part. So it can be used to describe artificial intelligence and deep learning as a whole. But generally, people use deep learning to specifically tell that we are dealing with neural networks. And machine learning is a denoted classical machine learning, which do not involve neural networks.
Okay. Yeah.
And artificial intelligence is, you can say, the superset of these things.
All right. I think we should start the our questions which we have prepared now.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So why do you think data science is important?
Well, in today's everything is, I mean, just consider your mobile, right? So you're using your mobile phones, and every app that you use has some kind of data science to it. You have some data and you want to process that data, you need science for that. That is data science. The simplest way to explain a data science is that you get a data, apply some processing over it, and generate some results. For example, if you're playing a game, that is also some kind of data science is applied to that also, right? So even for a for example, a chat application like WhatsApp, and for a social media application like Facebook, everything has data science. For example, you watch Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you might see recommendations in your Netflix, is it? Like, let's
Yeah.
suppose you watch
Yeah.
Stranger Things, right? And the things, or the maybe a series related to, say, Stranger Things, like thriller series might pop up to your Netflix page, that Netflix will recommend these series after you watch Stranger Things. So this also has something to do with data science. This is called recommendation engine. If you'll go deep into data science, then you'll understand this is one part of data science where we predict, based on what you have watched, will predict the same kind of series for you. So this is also part of data science. And let's suppose you're writing an email, right? Have you ever written an email?
Yes.
So when you write an email, it automatically shows you the next sentence or the next few words that you'll need to write. It is called auto suggestion, right? It
Yeah.
also it is also there in keyboards, right? When you type things,
Yes. Yeah.
it suggests you a sequence of words. So these are some aspects you can see data science working on your day to daily, you can say, applications. So it is very necessary. I think in near future, every company will be a data science company. It already is in some way. So I think it's better to have some kind of understanding of what data science is. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have missing or incomplete data in your analysis, how do you handle it? Like, what do you do?
So when you have, you're saying that when you don't have a data, some kind of
No, wait,
data.
yeah, when you have some incomplete data during your analysis.
Hmm. So there are two types of, there are, let's see, there are two data kinds of data. One is structured data, one is unstructured data. Structured data will be in form of tables, right? You'll get the data in form of tables, and unstructured data will be in form of texts, images. You can even get audio, you can even get video. These are called unstructured data. Structured data will be in form of tables, right?
Mhm.
Rows, columns, these kind of data are called structured data. So when you have some missing values in structured data, you'll try to replace them with something else, first of all. And if it doesn't make sense, you'll try to remove that missing data. So these are the two things that we generally use. These are called null value imputation. So I don't want to go into details about it. You'll only able to understand it once you apply these things. So I think once you apply these things, then I can go into detail about what needs to be done. But in general, we replace the data, or we just drop the data altogether, which has some missing values.
Uh,
Right.
how has data science changed over the last few years?
Uh, Data science, the speed of data science is, I mean, I would say artificial intelligence
Yeah.
has progressed a lot faster in few years. I think last 2 to 3 years, it has exceeded the expectation of Elon Musk as well. So I think you cannot predict how it is going to go in the next 2 to 3 years. So you cannot really predict
Yeah.
the scale of AI right now. It's going really fast.
Yeah. In general, do you think AI is benefiting or harming, as in right now? Because a lot of people, like even Elon Musk, like a lot of like big thinkers have said that
Mhm.
AI is not going to benefit us.
Well, I think they are also using AI in their company, Tesla.
Yeah.
So I think it is benefiting them definitely. But what they meant by AI is not going to be beneficial. I don't think they said it's not going to be beneficial. I think they are a little concerned about the pace at which AI is going. So we need to put a cap on it, because see what will happen is, right now what is going to happen in the future, if it is not checked by government, is that there will be a lot of fake news in the country, right?
That's
Let's
true.
suppose you see that there are lots of images generated by AI, right, of people, the real people, but they're not actually real. It looks real, but it's not. So there are lots of news also which chat if you just give chat GPT to generate a novel or a story, it is going to generate it. It's going to generate fake news as well. There are lots of fake things available on internet right now, which are not real, and there's no way to distinguish whether it's real or not, because when you go to this chat GPT, like um, you can say a chatbot, there's no guarantee that it is going to give the uh, real news to you, or the real, you can say, articles or the real information to you. It might be fake as well. So you need to check, you need to go and research it, right? When it gives you the answer, whether you have to search whether this is correct or not, right? So there are these kind of false informations is also spreading as the AI is progressing faster and faster. And maybe in future, who knows how we can, you see, when we discovered the nuclear bombs, right? So it was a technology which is either able to, it can also make the world or break the world, right? Depends on the person who is using it. So if person is using it to utilize its energy to generate electricity or generate energy for the well-being, then it's a good technology, you would say. But if they're going to use it to destroy the cities, then I don't think it is beneficial in that case. So it depends on the person who is using, and also the government also have to take the accountability of the AI as well, just like they did for nuclear weapons.
Okay. I just have one question, a bit off of this whole conversation, but how did coding actually interest you?
Okay, so it interested me when I was in college. So I think it was second year of my college, and we had a course web development, HTML, CSS. So when I was learning HTML, I really got into this because when you code HTML, right, you see the web page, you make the web page, it's graphic, and you get to see the results in your computer straight away. So it really interested me that how you can write few lines of code and generate a beautiful results on your website and make a website and so that's really got me into I think got I used to code before also, but it really got me interested in coding from then. And after that, I would say the thing that I love about coding is you put on a music, you go into trance state, and then you write code, and it's like playing games, right? To me, it's like playing games when you code. So it has become that kind of thing for me. So it's fun.
All right. What is your favorite what is your favorite part about coding or just as a data scientist?
Okay, so in data science, the best thing is the results. So when you code and get the results and see the amazing things that you have built and show it to client and solve their problems. Let's suppose you come to a problem with me in hope because they are not able to solve it. And when you solve it for them using AI, and because AI is still like a you are Harry Potter and they are you're showing your magic to them because they're still new at AI. They don't know how these things will work. But when you solve that problem for them, it works like magic. So the results is much more interesting when you talk about AI.
All right. Thank you, Arnav.
Okay, so what like can you give me some examples of what projects have you done?
Okay, so I'll give you little details. I think I've already talked about it, like forecasting is one, right? Building chatbots is one. These are the two things that I've built professionally. And also, I've also built some, so there are, if you want to classify certain things, right? Whether this is box, whether this is cat, whether this is dog. This is just a example because to explain you much in an easier manner. Like if you want to just, for example, your given features like eyes, nose, and these. So if you want to describe whether this is a cat or a dog, will do that. We humans can do that, but how will you tell the machine to do that? These kind of things are called classification problem, where you identify using certain inputs you take inputs and identify that this is a certain category, like cat or a dog. So in simple terms, I'm saying like it's a cat or a dog, but then we do certain other classifications, whether this is a document, whether this is a contract, what kind of contract it is, whether it's a legal contract, whether it's something other, right? So these kind of things also come under uh, you can say data science or machine learning. These are called classification techniques. So I've also been doing these kind of things. So, but majorly I've been involved in forecasting and uh, building, I mean, chatbots using generative AI, sorry.
Okay. What steps do you take to stay updated with like the latest advancements and trends in the field of data science?
First of all, you have to join a community which is active. You can go on LinkedIn, and there are lots of people who are talking about AI. You can join, you can follow them, and it gets updated in your feed as well. So this is LinkedIn is the best source, I would say. So there are lots of active communities about machine learning, artificial intelligence. So any new research that comes in, it gets posted there, and you can just go to um, their research paper and read it, or you can just wait for some time, and people might have written good blogs on the new research that is going on. You can read that as well.
Okay.
You can also follow
Alright.
people on YouTube who are expert in AI, and some, you can say, educational institutes who also teach AI. So they also just roll their videos out when a new research comes in. So that is also one way.
What institute do you follow for these for your advancements? Like what?
Well,
Yeah.
so I have been following Coursera and deeplearning.ai. So deeplearning.ai is the most, I think it's kind of like a norm for every data scientist, like to go and see what deeplearning.ai has put on a course or something, right? So it has good courses. So deeplearning.ai would be one, would
Okay.
be the top. Second would be, I would say Coursera is other one. So you can go to Coursera, and actually deeplearning.ai also has courses on Coursera, but Coursera has also the good courses in deep learning apart from deeplearning.ai. So you can go to Coursera as well.
Okay. How do you determine which machine learning algorithms or models you need to use when you're given a problem?
Yeah. So if let's suppose you are dealing with a structured data, do you remember what structured data is?
Yeah. Yeah, in the tables.
Yeah. So if you have a data in tables, you'll apply certain type of algorithms, right? And so these algorithms would either be classification related or regression related. So these are two type of techniques. So classification is when you have a category to classify. Regression is when you want to predict a real value, right? For example, if you want to predict the houses, I mean the price of the houses in your locality. So it's a price, right? This is the price you want to predict. It can be anything, it can be any real number, right? It can be
Mm-hmm.
any number, right? Any floating point or decimal number, right? It can be anything. But if you want to predict whether, let's say, this animal belongs to cat family or a dog family, it can be either dog or a cat, right? If you only want to
Yeah.
classify it in a dog or a cat form, then the answers will be only two, either a cat or a dog. So these are classification type problems where you have categories to predict. So there are certain algorithms you use for predicting categories. There are certain types of algorithms which you use for predicting a real value, like housing prices, the house prices, right? So these are the two types of algorithms we use for structured data. Now there are other algorithms that you might use for identifying, you can say, whether this you can say these group of items fall into a certain category. These are called clustering algorithms. So where you cluster items into one group, right? For example, people of age below 18 would be one cluster. People of age between 18 to 30 would be another cluster, right? So these kind of, we apply some rules to your data points and cluster them together, right? So these are called clustering algorithms. It can be, I can give you several examples, like k-means is a one clustering algorithm, db scan is one clustering algorithm, classification algorithms, random forest, you can say logistic regression. These are there are many such algorithms for classification. For regression also there are many such problems, sorry, algorithms. So these are the two types of problems that we specifically deal with. And data can be different. Based on data also we determine what kind of algorithm we need to use. So for example, image data can only, I think the majority of the image data is only used for classifying things, right? Whether this image belongs to a certain category or not. Are they again classification algorithms, but the data is image data. So
Okay.
we look at the data as well as we look at what kind of data it is.
All right. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Do any of the students that joined have a question?
Okay, it seems like nobody has a question. So
You can ask in the chat if you want to.
yeah. Okay. Seeing that nobody wants to ask questions, Arnav, do you have a question to ask?
Uh,
Oh, yes, Vedantan.
Is computer science and data science the same thing? Or are they in the same group?
Yeah, anything related. So see, data has the, how do you process data? You process data using computers basically, right? You process the data using, let's suppose you want to find out what is 20 multiplied by 19. So you'll just type it into calculator. It is also one form of computer. You're feeding it data, it's giving you some results. So data is processed in computers, and computer is doing all this using its parts, right? So for example, it has a processor and all such utilities. It's utilizing these things and doing the science for you of producing results based on the data. So data science is a part of computer science. There are many other things like in computer science, like operating systems, like web development, and all these things. These are the, you can say computer science is the superset of all these things, and data science is a part of it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right. I just had one question as a follow-up question from our topic before. What exactly, what is a neural networks?
A neural network. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of time for me to understand what is, I mean, to tell you what is a neural network. I'll just brief things out for you. Okay, I'll try to make it easier for you. For example, if you see something, right? You see something for the first time. How do you, what is happening? So first, the rays of light are hitting that object. It's going into your eyes. It's simulating the retina. So these are all biological things I'm just telling. And the image of the object is being formed in your, inside your brain, right? But the brain, how does the brain process that image, right? So we want to replicate the activity of the brain, how it breaks the image. Okay, first, there are certain parts of brain which will just identify the outline of that image. There are other parts of brain which will identify whether the colors of the image, right? So there are various other parts. It's layers of images, and finally the final image is formed, right? After combining the outline of the image, the color of the image. So this is how our brain functions. So we try to replicate that in the computer, right? So this is all about, this is one part of neural science. So neurons, we have a neurons, something called as neurons in our brains, right? We want to replicate their functioning in the actual computers, right? So how do we do that? This whole part is called a data. I mean, this whole part is called neural science. I mean, the neural networks, the how our there are, you can say there are billions of neurons which are connected together in our brains, right? So we want to replicate the simplest form. The simplest form is neuron. We'll take neuron, we'll try to replicate its working in computer, and then we'll create a network of neurons, which is called as neural network. So in simple terms, it is we are just trying to replicate the functioning of the neurons so that we can process any input on computers just like our brain does. The
So,
inspiration has
So,
been taken from our brain.
so have
for
you ever
example-
used it in your projects?
Yeah, you know, this chatbots,
Yeah.
they're also using neural networks at the back end.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
ChatGPT
Arnav.
uses neural networks. Yeah.
So just to clarify, so a neural network, like for example, if we have some input data, which is and AI is supposed to check if it's a dog or not. Like, so it goes through multiple layers, sees all the features in a dog that's seen before, and then like finally
Correct. Correct.
the multiple
So
layers of processing.
correct. So there are things. First of all, computer will not be able to identify that this is a dog on a first go, right? Consider a novice person or an infant, right? How did you learn things? Just consider your life. Just think of it as your life. So first you saw something for the first time, right? And then 2 years later you saw that same thing, but still you forgot. Then the third time you saw it, you learned. Okay, so this is one thing that I've been seeing for the third time. Now I'm able to recognize that, yeah, this is this. Now fourth time when the fourth time comes, you saw it again, and it felt almost like an instinct, right? You just responded like this is this only. And the more you see it, the more it gets clear to you, right? This is this thing only, right? The same happens when you learn something. First, when you try to learn a complicated thing, right? If you try to read a sentence and it's a bit complicated, when you read it first time, you will remember maybe one or two words of it. When you will remember, when you try to read it the second time, you might be able to remember it much better. When you read it the third time, much better. Fourth time, much better. Fifth time, again, better, till you just able to recognize and just close your eyes and you can just repeat the sentence in your mind. So this happens with the machine learning as well. You feed them lots of examples to learn. This is called historical examples. You feed lots of examples to them and it learns from the examples, right? And it sees the examples again and again. It sees the examples of dog again and again and again, different types of dogs, different types of what is common between each of the dogs. So you let's suppose you showed them 100 dogs, right? 100 different species of dogs, and then it tries to see and 100 different types of cats. Now it automatically will tell what are the features. It will just record the features of dogs. It will just record the features of cats because it has seen the cats and dogs lots and lots of time before. And that is what we called learning. That's how machine is learning, right? It sees the examples that you provide, and then when you give a new example to them, to the machine, it is able to recognize, yes, this is a dog because it has seen this dog lots and lots of time before.
All right.
Vedanta,
What role? Oh, yeah, Vedantan.
Going back to what you just said, is that how the computers in self-driving cars would figure out how to drive?
Correct. So self-driving cars also, let's suppose you're going to an unfamiliar road, right? So first, when the car is built, it will be driven across the, let's say, a different area of city, maybe. So when they test it in different terrains. It could be anything, right? So let's suppose the box is coming, a person is coming from ahead. So it is made such a way that when it is able, it has been shown before that this is a person, right? So once it is able to recognize that person, it will apply brakes. So the command has been given, when you see a person apply the brakes. But seeing the person is what is happening behind the scenes, right? We have trained the computer in such a way that it is able to recognize what is a person. So this happens with the self-driving cars. So the self-driving cars have been fed lots of images of persons, and then it is able to recognize that this is a person, then only. So it has been done. I think it has been shown lots and lots of images of a person, and then only it is able to recognize this as a person. It has been shown images of lots and lots of cars before ahead of it. It is able to recognize that this is the car that is ahead. So this is all. This is what happens in self-driving cars also.
All right.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, feel free to ask any questions you have.
Okay. What role will India play in the AI revolution, seeing that they are the home to one of the biggest numbers of engineers?
Well, India's role, I think this would be, I think we are already playing a significant role, whether it's in new startups that has been coming up in India, in Bangalore, let's say Delhi. There are lots of startups related to AI that are blooming in India. So I think that will be a major impact coming because there are lots of innovation going on, not only in area of self-driving cars. There's also innovation going on in other sectors like robotics. Um, like if you have heard about these drones delivering your Amazon packages and all these things, right? So these are also the development that has been happening. So I think with AI, I think we will first reduce the dependencies of the current, you can say there are lots of costs we can reduce with using AI, right? So that is the first impact that is going to have. And India, how would India play a role? I think India is already playing a role, that is by providing by making new startups and by innovating a lot. So I think that is one aspect I would see in future, maybe lots and lots of startup coming up related to AI in India. And that would be make it really competitive for others to enter India in the AI space.
Okay. So have you, do you know what UPI is?
Yes.
Uh, okay. So how would it help the middle income people of India?
Well, UPI has been a great success in India. If you go to any delivery store in India, right, you don't have to carry cash. So it has eliminated the need of cash altogether. Maybe I think it's 10% of the time you might need cash, but 90% of the time you won't need cash. So it has made life easy. I mean, you don't need to, first of all, there is additional security of money that you can have, right? So even if you so previously what happens was when you just drop your cash somewhere, you'll go searching for it. Now everything is done using UPI. You just scan a code and you just pay. So things have become a lot easier in terms of UPI. And the middle income, not only middle income, I think lower income guys also are happening, I mean, also benefiting a lot from this.
So does this come under data scientists? Sorry, data science,
Yeah,
UPI?
data science is everywhere, right? So you cannot name a company today which doesn't use data science. So data science is everywhere. I think UPI and these payment interfaces automatically will use AI as well, but not in the processing part, but in other aspects, right? So when you do a payment, let's suppose uh, your bank has X amount of rupees. You want to transfer X from your bank. This is a data that is going on, right? So this is also a data that is being just transferred from this computer to that computer. There's a processing behind it. It is a part of data. That means you're applying some science to this data. It also comes under data science, but not I won't say this is AI right now. AI is used differently in UPI. So for example, if you use a UPI app, right, there are certain aspects in that app which use AI, but not the processing itself.
Okay.
Another question. Wait. So another question is that there's a hot topic that AI might replace jobs. Do you think that's a valid concern, or it's actually going to open up new jobs?
This is controversial. I would say it will replace jobs definitely, but what kind of job it will replace? It will replace those jobs which can be automated. For example, I'll just tell you a story, right? So in around 90s, so what happened was, there were, in the, what do you say, in the harbor, right? There were lots of ships that need to be reloaded. I mean, uh, reloaded from. They just have to carry. People used to carry loads from the ships, and it used to take around months and months and months to just unload one ship, right? But when the machines like cranes and these came, that shame, I mean, the ship used to get deloaded or unloaded in maybe 2 to 3 days, and it used to do it parallelly, right? So what people lost their jobs, the people who lost their jobs were those who were utilizing their brute force at that time, right? The machine can do better load management than one person, right? So in that way, machine is better than humans. So in those areas where machine is better than humans, AI is, or you can say the AI is better than humans, those areas or those jobs will be replaced by AI. And those jobs where humans are still better than AI, humans will keep those jobs.
Thank you.
So, can you discuss the relationship between AI and robotics? Like, how are they interconnected?
Yeah. So I'll just take your example. You think something, right? And then you act. Your body is acting something, but your mind is giving I mean, your mind is giving the body instructions, right? Let's suppose you want to kick up football. So your mind, you have a thought like, I have to kick this football into the goal, right? Then you kick it. But first you have thought of kicking it, then you kick it, right? So these are, your mind is giving your body some instructions. So the robot is the body and AI is the mind of the robot.
Okay. And last question. As a data scientist, what skills or knowledge would you recommend to young coders to prioritize or develop in order to pursue a career in data science?
Number one would be learn a programming language. First things first, because programming language, any language, I think you can start with Python. Python is a really good language to learn. It's easy. It has lots of customizability. You can do lots of things with Python. And second would be research. So try to read a lot. For example, let's suppose you want to search something, right? So you should be good at Googling, you could say. That doesn't mean that every person can find something in Google. But let's suppose A takes around 20 minutes to find one thing, and person B takes 1 or 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, max to max, to find that thing. So the person B is much more efficient in finding the information through in the internet. So this is a overlooked aspect, you can say, that people forget, that research is one thing that you have to be good at. So one is programming, second is research. If you are good at programming and research, I think you are good to go with anything, because you research and you have to implement it in code. So these are the only two things that you should be good at. Not the only, but these are the two main things that you should be good at.
All right. Lastly, does anyone have any questions from the audience, or else this expert talk will be over.
So let me ask you one thing. So how many of you guys have actually implemented or learned about data science? Whether on your own or whether through, how have you, how did you come across machine learning or AI?
Well, for AI, actually, it really blew up over the internet just because of ChatGPT. So that was one of
Oh,
the main reasons I really wanted to learn more about AI and how this would work. Um, and machine learning, I think I learned with Ravi a bit. Well, I didn't learn it, but he told me some brief introduction about what it is.
mhm. Okay. So chat GPT, right? Okay.
Yeah. ChatGPT and some other just AI generated bots online.
Have you used chat GPT yet
Yeah, I have. I've used it
for your
for
homework?
no, not for my homework, but I do debate competitions. And so I
Mm-hmm.
get some ideas from there for ChatGPT.
Okay. So did you find it useful or did
I
you,
mean,
so, hmm,
most of the time when I search something up
hmm,
and then I go into ChatGPT, it like provides a brief response, but usually some of the facts are not actually true. Uh, so that's why sometimes I also have to double check on the internet and find reliable sources like .orgs and .nets to really find out the actual situation.
correct. So that's what I meant when I
Yeah,
talk about fake information, right?
fake
So you
news.
have
Yeah,
to, yeah, you have to just verify its source.
all right,
So
Arnav.
until and unless we have something in chat GPT which also gives the sources behind the answers that it's giving, that would be good if it could give the sources also at the
And
same time.
Yeah.
yeah. So another thing is that most of us are losing learning Python right now. So
Mhm,
I've heard that like NumPy and Matplotlib is like good for like plotting data, storing data, right?
mhm.
So how do we get started on that if we want to do more in data science? Or can you explain when those modules are?
Yeah, so you need something to store data, first of all, that is done by NumPy and Pandas. And if you want to create plots, Matplotlib is one, Seaborn is one. So these are the two libraries used majorly for plotting and visualization. And if you want to store data, basically NumPy and Pandas are uh, best for that. So if you want to learn, if you want to get started with data science, first you have to have some knowledge about coding, right? Maybe Python would be the good, I mean, the ideal language to start. And after that, you can just go to NumPy, learn NumPy, then learn Pandas, then learn Matplotlib. So the sequence would be like that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come for this expert talk. I hope we can
Mm.
do more of these in the future. And if no one has any last questions, then I believe we can end this meeting.
Hey, it was nice meeting you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Um,
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
yep, you too. Thank you.